Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Hotel News Now podcast. I'm news editor Sean McCracken here with Waldorf Astoria New York's Luigi Romaniello. Luigi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me in this conversation, Sean.
Oh, it is my absolute pleasure to have you because we're going to get kind of the inside story on what's happening with perhaps the most interesting hotel in the world right now. Um, so for those listeners who don't know, Luigi is what's your actual title at the Waldorf, Luigi?
It is managing director,
Managing
meaning that I
director.
oversee the overall operation and owners relation, marketing, all of that. So, yes.
So obviously the Waldorf, extremely historic, iconic hotel. It's been closed for, I believe, what, 7.5 years at this point? It's been
Yes, we're pushing the 8th year now as we reopen in the spring of 2025.
okay. So reservations back open finally. So where are we at in that process of kind of getting ready to open again, and how is that work gone?
Well, I must tell you, this is probably the most exciting phase of our opening because, first of all, we just announced that we are opening our reservations, effective in 2025. And so, starting on September 1, we are taking reservations for group business, events, even single transient, reservations we are taking as of September 1. And we've been receiving such an incredible response. Sean, as soon as we announced it, I was actually at ILTM in Cannes when we announced that. So not only I had a room full of journalists in there when we announced this, so everybody, there was a big gasp when I announced that because everybody's been waiting
Hmm.
for our reservations to be live, and so we're very excited about that.
Hmm. So kind of explain to us what work has gone on to into transforming the Waldorf that everyone remembers from, nearly a decade ago to what we're going to see early next year.
Yes, of course. One thing we have to really note, that is quite remarkable is that this was a very thoughtfully crafted restoration. The efforts were led by the renowned architects of, Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. I'm sure you know of them. They've done some really wonderful projects, including the Burj Khalifa. I mean, incredible form. And then, of course, the interior design was done by Pierre-Yves Rochon. And Pierre-Yves Rochon is also an incredible established, interior designer that even did our Waldorf Astoria in Beverly Hills, which is quite celebrated for how beautiful it is. So, and the whole thing about it is that everything has been, it's not really a renovation, it's a complete restoration slash transformation, if you will, because he did retain all the scale and the beauty of the original Art Deco architecture, but it's all been reimagined with the contemporary furnishing, and they're really paying homage to the original Waldorf Astoria as it was back in 1931. So when you walk in, you're going to see a little bit of a lot of the old, really fully restored, and then some of the new, and everything blends so well together.
Hmm. And I'm sure, a historic property like that, you guys have had to gone through all the processes to, respect the history of it. But I'm wondering, as a person, in charge of this, legacy property, what kind of responsibility do you feel to kind of live up to the history behind it?
Sean, this is a great question because I live this every day. And actually, through the comments that I received from the New Yorkers, for people that have come to know Waldorf Astoria New York, is just a significant hotel that plays such a big part in people's life. At some point, everybody always has a story about Waldorf Astoria New York, whether they
Hmm.
attended a wedding or they got married there themselves. So there was a significant time of their lives where they really remember being celebratory or visiting or what else. But just by really taking it all in, it really truly is remarkable to be in a position that I get to lead, this reopening that has been absolutely everybody's anticipating. But I take this as with a high sense of honor, really truly. I feel that this is the proverbial cherry of my incredible career because it seems like I've been preparing for this position all my life. And
Hmm.
after being in luxury all my life, here I am, just, humbled by the opportunity.
So you were mentioning before we started recording that it's been roughly 7 months for you with the Waldorf, correct?
That is correct. Yes, I've been here about 7 months or so, and flying by fast because I mean, the building changes every day.
Hmm.
Just yesterday we received the famous clock. When they said, meet me at the clock. Well, the
Hmm.
famous clock now is back in the lobby. And every day the hotel is changing. And while we're doing that, we have all this. Incredible efforts of putting together the team and really getting all the operating supplies to be at the highest level, really creating all the standards. So it's just an exciting time. This is the best time and the best phase, of the opening, really.
Yeah, I'm curious, looking back to when you first walked on property, what was your reaction back then?
I have to say, I was immediately drawn to the level of effort that took place. I saw, people in scaffolding, and they're, hunched, and into the ceiling, and really with this impeccable attention to every stroke of a brush, trying to really bring back this artwork that was there since 1893. I mean, in the Silver Corridor, these were all these murals that were brought actually from the original Waldorf Astoria into the new Waldorf Astoria in 1931. And then since
Hmm.
then, of course, through the years, they became faded and so forth. But they brought it all back to life. And for me, coming from the old world, I have such an appreciation when things are done really, really correctly. And we had like hundreds of people in the trade, specialized craftsmen that really took like painstakingly time, a lot of time, getting these frescoes and murals, back to the original splendor. So I was in
Hmm.
total awe on that. And also the spaces, you walk in and you see the lobby that is actually even bigger than it used to be, because
Yeah.
we opened up a section of the lobby that was not even there before. It was actually occupied some heart of the house offices, if you will. And now we expanded the lobby, and this was a division of SOM, our architects. They expanded the lobby. Now you actually see even daylight inside the lobby, which is wonderful.
Hmm. So just to take a step back for our listeners for a moment, give a little bit of the recent history. Obviously, it was closed in 2017 when the hotel changed hands. It was sold by Hilton, which I mean, obviously still brands the hotel to a Chinese owner, then on Bang now Daija Insurance Group, and that with the plan to kind of revamp the property, rework it, pretty significantly scale down the hotel room count, footprint, and convert a lot of the space to residences. I'm
Yes.
wondering, as the person in charge of hotel operations, how does that kind of change your outlook going from this kind of big mega tanker hotel that we remember as the Waldorf Astoria to a hotel that's still big and significant, but room count wise much smaller.
No, that's a really good point. And actually, something this is a really is applause for us. I mean, think about it. We used to be a 1,400 room hotel, over 1,400 rooms property. And back in the days, when they defined ultra luxury, it was all done by opulence. You have this big
Hmm.
palace, the more rooms, the better. And that defined luxury back in the days. But now,
Yeah.
as you know it, to really deliver ultra luxury, you have to do with a more scaled down product, and
Yeah.
so this was a really smart decision to not only reduce the room count to 375, which allowed us to literally double up in our rooms. Our entry level rooms are the majority of our entry level rooms are 570 square feet, which is incredibly generous for New York City.
Yeah.
All in the high ceilings, open floor plans, allowing us to put sectional sofas in there. Just a beautiful, beautiful furnishing, and you
Yeah.
feel like it's a very, very living space. And then you have the residences where, if you think about it, we have now 375 residences. Before, Waldorf Astoria was always a residence for some of the super affluent Hollywood stars. We had Frank Sinatra that spent 15 years at the Waldorf Astoria,
Yeah.
you name it, but they were never really truly purposed residences. So now, for the first time, we're going to you can actually buy a residence at the Waldorf Astoria, and it comes with all the lifestyle because it's branded Waldorf Astoria. So we will have a direct management of that, and you will have all the enjoyment of the facilities. And in addition, you have 50,000 square foot worth of your own dedicated residential facilities, including a beautiful 120 feet swimming pool, billiard table, screening room, several lounge areas, spa. All of this is all privatized for our residents. So that is making a considerable, certainly, elevation versus what it was, before it was.
It's funny you mentioned the idea of, that you walk in and the public spaces are wowing, and then you get something else in the hotel room experience previously, and that old idea of luxury. That reminds me of, I'm going to talk about a different New York property just for a second, but the very first time I ever stayed in New York, I stayed at the Roosevelt, which, now closed as a hotel. But I remember that feeling of walking into their, the beautiful lobby space that they used to have there and thinking, wow, this is New York City. This is Midtown Manhattan. I'm so amazed by this. And then you go up to the room, you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is New York City too. So exactly. It is, there's something to kind of carrying that luxury experience and feeling through the entire property.
Yeah. Absolutely, Sean. And, and the level of service for us is going to be imperative, So right now we're really focusing on really recruiting the best of the best. We are really looking for people that, team members that they have this natural aptitude, to serve, to big smile on their face, that they stand, their engagement and the service with that is very heartfelt. You can see it during the interview. You can see that. So we are running people that really are passionate about the industry, and then we give them all the tools with incredible standards. This is a new era for Waldorf Astoria New York. So when we open the doors, we're almost kind of resetting, hospitality in New York City, if you will. To make sure that when a guest checks in and throughout the process, it doesn't feel like it's just another stay. That is, we actually get to know them really personally. And at some point during the stay, we make them feel like they are recognized, they're individual. And I think this is the way of the future in hospitality business and luxury.
So what are you hoping people, what are you hoping strikes people when they walk into the new Waldorf?
They're going to immediately see, of course, the appreciation of the vivid, artwork. Before it used to be a bit faded and this and that, because through the years, that's what happens. So immediately they're going to really respect that we're giving back to New York, a hotel that hasn't been manipulated, that has been really truly kept authentic to what it used to be when it comes to all the landmark areas. So all of those are going to come alive. You're going to see the pigmentation of the paint and everything that came back to life. And there are even new colors that were not existing in there since 1931. They came alive. So you look at this fresco, you go, I actually don't even recognize, because if you would have been in the building when it first opened in 1931, then you would have said, okay, that's exactly the same. But through the years, it wasn't. So they're going to see that. And then they're going to see, an incredible, the lobby is going to make a big difference. As soon as you come in, you'll see the expanded lobby that is going to really make a difference. You're also going to see that we're going to have a 30,000 square foot spa. That is this is a rarity when it comes to a palace hotel, to have a fully purposely designed spa with about 15 treatment rooms and all of that. It's just going to be incredible with all the wet areas. It's going to be quite remarkable. And then of course our food and beverage. This is something that Waldorf Astoria has always been the pioneer on. They invented room dining. We did a lot of great recipes that came from the Waldorf Astoria. So we felt an obligation to really make it super special. And with that, we have this partnership with an incredible culinarian and friend, Michael Anthony from Gramercy Tavern. He's going to be in the restaurant called the Lex Yard, because Lex Yard was basically a hidden underground station that was used by presidents to come into the hotel discreetly. So it has a bit of that story, but the cuisine is going to be truly American brasserie, authentic. It's really going to offer something very limited and special. And the design is Abrocco. Abrocco did the design in the restaurant. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's a high-level restaurant. And then, of course, you have the Picacali that is coming back in its original splendor, with a lot of this contemporary furnishing that they're going to be really offsetting the beautiful architecture. And then we're going to have an incredible mixology with that. There is another concept that right now we're going to eventually spill out. Right now we're not talking about, but eventually I want to keep some of the surprises in there. And one of there will be yet another restaurant concept that we are doing within the spaces. But food and beverage, I feel is going to stand out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And obviously that drives so much a guest experience these days. I mean, it always has, but even more so now.
No, I agree. I mean, think about it. Even me as a consumer, I usually look at the decision of staying in a hotel to also how I feel inside the hotel and what kind of experiences I have. I like to see, if I want to meet someone, a friend or a business, and say, please meet me at the Waldorf, and come in and knowing that you get an impeccable service with really thoughtful offerings. It really makes you feel like proud. It makes you feel like I can invite somebody over and feel, feel good about choosing this hotel, and we're very centralized. So there's a lot of things going for ourselves.
So, Luigi, while we're having this conversation, I was just looking at your resume, and I can't guess very many people can tout being the person who's steering the ship for the Waldorf Astoria and the Plaza. Like you're kind of a central figure in the history of New York hospitality at this point, right?
Oh my goodness! Listen, I said that with all humility, and thank you for pointing it out. But in reality, listen, it's always about the team. I just been very blessed that I always, one thing I have to say, I've always been passionate about my guests, about my team, and also to the whole concept of hospitality, original spirit of hospitality, just opening the door, big smile, be a great host. I mean, I always enjoy that, and it always served me well through my career. So I got a great stint internationally, of course, Middle East, Caribbean, which kind of developed my soft skills, with guest service, whether it was in a resort or a city hotel, international with different, protocols and mindsets. And now coming into New York, and you're right, managing the Plaza was an incredible experience. And now here, I feel like I had the appetizer at the Plaza, maybe my main course at the Waldorf Astoria New York.
Yeah. So what kind of feedback have you been getting from people so far about the Waldorf? Obviously, you're not fully up and running, but I'm sure people are getting a peek in there and giving you some sort of ideas of what they think.
Everyone is really eager. I've never been in a hotel, I mean, for obvious reasons, with such an anticipated, like a sense of anticipation, whether they are clients or whether they're guests or whether people that are known in the industry, they all want to come see this hotel. And they're all, because they understand the magnitude and the importance that this hotel it took through the years to New York City. Yeah. It's almost like there is no New York without Waldorf Astoria, New York.
Yeah.
And it really it occupies such a big space through the history that coming back and then the way our owners is committed to this hotel is like unprecedented. This is not a typical renovation, like I said. I mean, all the infrastructure even has been completely redone. Mm-hmm. The hotel was completely gutted out. All the MEP, the plumbing, electric, and all the elevators, all modernized. They retained all the beauty of the elevators. All the metal work has been all conserved and preserved that way. But then all the mechanisms are all state-of-the-art modern, so you don't have any glitches with elevators, glitches with shower pressure, glitches with air conditioning. Everything has been modernized. So not only you're going to get an experience that is absolutely beautiful, but also it's very, very comfortable.
Yeah.
It's really part of luxury, right? It's just very important.
I'm curious, since you bring up the ownership group, obviously, I feel like in a lot of people's minds in this industry, they're kind of not necessarily a question mark because they've, Daija and before them Ombang are well-established large-scale hotel owners in one way or the other. But I think in general, the average person in this industry doesn't know much or anything about them. What has it been like working with that particular ownership group?
Again, it's been a very collaborative, again, this requires a lot of commitment, which we're very, very fortunate to have. But very importantly also is we also report to an ownership that is in between also our Chinese entity and is strategic. And strategic belongs to the ownership, and actually we report directly to them. And there is a whole infrastructure of professionals, including the CEO of strategic, that is constantly, in touch with us, and they understand hotels. They own 18 hotels of their own, so they manage own 18 hotels of their own. So we speak the same language. They completely understand quality. They understand, what it takes, to reopen a hotel of this caliber. So it's not a straight line to a Chinese ownership. We do have strategic that really helps us and guide us, and it's just been a really wonderful combination, and having the support at that level, and also the operational support and the guidance support, from someone that really truly understands hotel business.
So you guys are in what I'd imagine are kind of at least close to the final stages of, getting ready to reopen. What is that? What exactly will that entail, and how does the energy feel around that right now?
Oh, I just had a meeting with my team now, and we're about, I would say, maybe 25 strong here now, and it encompasses all my executive committee, some of the department heads, director of housekeeping, director of talent culture, all the key people that will eventually welcome, the next year, and then eventually we're going to have the mass hire, as we get closer to, I would say, maybe 60 days prior to the opening. But the feel is like incredible. It just infectious. We're over here talking about hiring and recruiting. We do some very good creative recruitment as well. That's probably the most important phase of what we're doing now, and make sure that we really get the team together, a cohesive team. And we sometimes went a little bit more unexpected. We did your typical recruitment that comes through, getting candidates, online and all of that. But we also did some traveling. We visited universities that specialize in hospitality management, and we were able to recruit some wonderful people that they are seniors and become, the next future of hoteliers. So we want to give them their opportunity. We even went to Europe to hire, young talent like that. And of course, you have some of the people that are coming back, some of the team members, but most of them will be recruited newly. And so that's all very, very exciting. And at the same time, we are all making sure that we are selecting all the, the operating supplies, all the touch points, all the things that the guest feels and touches and all of that. There's got an element, a lot of quality that is not your typical, that you come in and it's very predictable. Predictable is probably one of my unfavorite words.
Yeah.
I want to surprise and delight, and the team is really on the same page. And also with the marketing, the programming of the hotel, because we do not, last thing we want to do is open the hotel and just leave it the way it is. We just want to continue to create this appealing programming that speak to the new audience, to the new generation of New Yorkers and travelers. So the way when they come to New York, so one of my stops has to be Waldorf Astoria, because you never know what is happening over there. So some of our verticals are fashion, we have entertainment and music, and we make sure that we encompass all this programming within those verticals.
So I know I probably won't make it back to New York until some point mid next year, but one of my top to-do list items will definitely be to try and peek in to see firsthand all the work that you guys have put into this, because it's exciting.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I have to say, out of my professional career, this is like takes the cherry. This is the top.
Well, I think that's all I had for you, Luigi. And you have any final words of wisdom for our audience?
Yes, meet me at the clock. Come in spring in a Waldorf Astoria New York, Park Avenue and 50th, one entire city block, ready to reopen, revitalize the entire neighborhood over there, and of course, re-welcome everyone, all the New Yorkers that are so in love with us. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, Sean, and I can't wait to also see you by the clock.
I am sure a great number of people will take you up on that invitation. But thank you so much, Luigi. This has been a great conversation.
Bye-bye now.
Hi, I'm STR's Isaac Colazo.
And I'm co-stars Jan Freitag. And together we are the data geeks behind Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast on the Hotel News Now podcast network.
Every month, we bring you a fresh take on the latest hotel data, insights into the travel trends behind that performance, and the big picture topics you should be thinking about.
And we also don't mind getting into some good-natured disagreement from time to time. Hey, when Isaac and I start talking data together, anything can happen. And it usually does.
Find us on hotelnewsnow.com and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. Search for Hotel News Now, and thank you for listening.
This episode of the Hotel News Now podcast was recorded on December 18th, 2024, and edited by me, Sean McCracken. For more hospitality news, make sure to visit our website at hotelnewsnow.com. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please do take the time to rate and review. Thanks for listening.